A-T. It's in the name.
Welcome into the Helping Healing Humor with Ben and Travis podcast. On today's episode, we're going to pick up where we left off last week and talk about maybe the spirituality of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and how that works into our personalities. Should be fun conversation, and we'll talk about that right after this important message. Hey friends, we've got something really special to share with you today, a brand new children's book that's all about faith, family, and finding joy in the middle of life's challenges. It's called The Adventures of Ben and Travis and the Joy Rider. This heartwarming story follows a big brother in a wheelchair who uses his creativity, courage, and a whole lot of love to help his little brother and cousin overcome life's obstacles. Together they show us that joy isn't about what you have, it's about how you choose to face the ups and downs of life. This book is full of fun, adventure, and hope. It's perfect for bedtime stories, Sunday school libraries, or as a meaningful gift for the kids in your life. Plus, it's a great way to start conversations with your family about resilience, compassion, and faith. Pre-orders are open now, and when you order early, you'll be one of the first to get your hands on this inspiring story. Just head over to benandtravis.com/books. That's benandtravis.com/books and pre-order your copy today. Give your kids a story that will make them smile, laugh, and believe in the power of joy. I'm Travis Creasy, the pulpit minister at Westgate Church of Christ in Dothan, Alabama. That is all-pro counselor with three-chord counseling, Highland Park Church of Christ, where he preaches on Sundays, and also the counselor at Mars Hill Bible School, Ben Hayes. How are you today, buddy?
I am good. I'm doing pretty great. Had a good day so far. How about yourself?
I've been doing really well. It's really warm down here for almost Thanksgiving, and it has thrown me off so much. It's nice weather to be running in, preparing for St. Jude 5K that we've been raising money for, but I'm really hoping it's not a super cold day in Memphis because I won't be ready for that. But it's good. It's good. Like I said, it's thrown me off. Like I'm not in Thanksgiving mode.
Yeah.
Well, like I would have been last year.
Better. North Alabama is not much better. We had like 2 cold days, and then it was warm, and we could wear shorts the last couple of days with t-shirts, and then now it's kind of cool again this morning. I haven't really been outside since, so I don't know how bad it is now, but it's not real Thanksgiving-y feeling either. But the leaves are falling, and it's orange and red and all the colors outside, so it's pretty cool.
Sweet. Well, in one of our previous episodes, we had talked about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and maybe what your favorite turtle says about you, or maybe it wasn't your favorite turtle, but you totally connected with Michelangelo or Leonardo or Raphael or Donatello. And today we're going to talk a little bit about maybe the spiritual aspect of those who might line up with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Two phrases that you probably thought you'd never put together, but hey, it's the Helping Healing Humor podcast, so maybe you will humor us and see what we've got going on here. And so we're going to start kind of backwards from where we went last time, and we'll start with Michelangelo. Ben, do you have that keyed up to read? Yeah. The joy is a spiritual weapon.
Yeah. So according to this, you connect with Michelangelo because you're drawn to joy, you're drawn to community, and the lighter side of life. God has given you a unique brightness that lifts others when they're fading. The devotional insight for Michelangelo is the joy of the Lord truly is your strength. You might remember in Nehemiah 8 and verse 10. But joy doesn't mean pretending everything is okay. It means trusting that God is good even when things aren't. So a little encouragement for that would be let your joy be rooted in Jesus, not performance. Don't be afraid to let others see the real you. God uses authentic joy, not just cheerful distraction. So what are your thoughts on those? Because we talked last time how you kind of fit the bill for a Michelangelo. How do you see this kind of played out spiritually in your life? How do you think that what we just read relates to you in that way?
Yeah, I think, and you mentioned last time the teenage Travis and kind of hopefully maturing from maybe the Raphael off the handle, super loyal, super bold, kind of measured that, getting a little more wisdom. And I think a part of that is certainly what it talks about there is, the trust in the Lord. And I've said this a couple of times the last few sermons, devotional's been on my mind. I think that I would have gotten out of ministry a long time ago. It was only a couple months after being out of Freed Hardeman. I was fairly burned out because I was trusting in my own ability to do that. And I still struggle with that. There are days where I get up, or moments where I feel like, oh, I've got to get this done. And the success, maybe I do need to get it done, but the success of it depends on me. And, I'm maturing, getting a little better in that, trusting in the Lord to get it done. Like, I'm going to give the best I can, and then I'm going to let it lie where it lies, and we'll see how it plays out. And I think that's one of my strengths, and it's getting stronger, but it also can be the opposite, right? Like, I feel like I have to get it done. I have to be the life of the party. I need to bring the levity and be funny all the time, and that doesn't necessarily work. And maybe specifically in the world of parenting.
Yeah, that's a really hard thing,
because we get confused all the time. Like, is Dad the fun guy that's going to make fun of everything, or is he going to fly off the handle and be mad about this?
Yeah. And it gets us in trouble because, I have more than one occasion my wife has reminded me, this is not a time you should be laughing at that. Like, this is something,
yes.
we need, this is something we should be more serious about. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry. I will compose myself a little bit. But I think the other piece of that, Travis, is that both of us are drawn. You will hear sometimes people talk about, you have someone who, as a minister, is more of a teaching, preaching minister. They love being in the pulpit. They love to teach. They love to just dig into the word. And you're one of those people. You're great at that. You love the word. But I think both of us also, we love ministry because of the people. Like, I know that we love to be in it because we get to be with people. You don't ever want to miss anything. You don't ever want to miss out. We both have that fear of missing out syndrome, where we don't want to miss the party and, think that we have missed some big thing. And so I think a lot of what we love about ministry is we get to hang out with people. We get to go out to eat with people. We get to, fellowship with them and, go and do these different things. We love going to the youth rallies and speaking. And so I think that's a big part. And and in a lot of ways, that's a spiritual gift of being able to be around people. So, and you do a great job with that. I think of anybody, you probably have always connected when you're at camp. I mean, Travis is the guy that every kid wants to hang out with. Every kid wants to come talk to. That may, as we're getting older, that may be, a little bit different because there's a lot of those younger guys now that are doing the youth ministry and stuff. But I remember when we were younger, I mean, they were very much drawn to being around Travis all the time. So. And that kind of leads us into the next one. If we're going backwards again, back to your, and I don't know what this says about you, Travis, when your maturity goes from Raphael to Michelangelo, but still, but there's a lot of truth to that. So on the next one, we think about strength made surrendered spiritually. You gravitate toward Raphael because you feel deeply, you care fiercely, and you want to protect what matters. But that passion can turn inward, becoming frustration or emotional isolation. God doesn't ask you to stop being strong. If you want to think devotionally, He invites you to let your strength be reshaped by His Spirit. Be slow to anger, rich in love. Isn't a reprimand, it's a path to freedom. Psalm 103 and verse 8. And Christ Himself, is described, you might remember, Travis, as both a lion and the lamb. So the encouragement here is your passion isn't a problem. It's a calling. Surrendered to Christ, it becomes a source of healing, courage, and spiritual authority. I think when we think about Peter, we think about passion. We mentioned him, Raphael being kind of the like a Peter in the Bible, where there's this huge passion to go after whatever his heart's desire was in those moments. And sometimes Jesus had to go, hold up, don't go so fast on that. And the same thing with Paul. Paul went 90-0 for Jews persecuting Christians. He would say in 1 Timothy chapter 1, I'm the chief of sinners because I was a persecutor, a violent aggressor, and I did all these things, blasphemed against God. But I did it because I thought it was the right thing to do. And then when he switches gears and becomes a Christian, all of a sudden he's doing the same thing, just going the other way with it. Not persecuting, but living out the gospel of Christ.
I love the lion and the lamb picture there, because you have this idea of their image of what the Messiah was going to be is kind of what we tend to think of Raphael, going to go in and by strength physically subdue the enemy. And that day is coming. There's a day coming when Jesus will return, and that will be the line. But the thing is that those are both the same. They're one and the same. I'm thankful that the lamb came first, so
Yep.
that we can all look forward to the lion returning. But I
Yep.
love that imagery, certainly there in Revelation. We won't get too far into the weeds, but they're looking for this lion to show up and open up the seal. And it's this slaughtered sacrificial lamb that shows up. And Jesus is one and the same
Yeah.
in both. And so it's tremendous strength surrendered, as the title was. Jesus had this tremendous, he could have called 10,000 angels, destroy the world, set him free. And yet in his strength was truly shown by willing to be sacrificed.
Yeah. A victorious warrior versus a sacrificed servant. And he's
Yeah.
both. And that's,
Yeah.
it's a powerful imagery, to think about. So when we think about Donatello, what do you think about wisdom? Wisdom and worship. Your mind is a gift, curious, analytical, always seeking understanding. Like Donatello, you want to solve problems and bring clarity to confusion. Sometimes your thoughts run ahead of your peace. Devotional insight for that. Scripture reminds us that knowledge alone can puff up, but love builds up. 1 Corinthians 8, verse 1. James promises that God gives wisdom generously to those who ask, so not leaning on your own understanding. James 1 and verse 5. So encouragement here is, don't forget to bring your brilliant mind under the covering of worship or under the covering of God's direction. Let God's presence quiet your overthinking and turn your wisdom into spirit-led insight. As I said, the overthinking part I might fall into with Donatello a little bit. And this can be a struggle. And this is a struggle with a lot of clients. I have a lot of clients and a lot of kids even, here at school that overthinking and just having a hard time with some of those thoughts that pop into their minds and things like that. So this is definitely one that a lot of people struggle with, especially those who, have that analytical mind. It is really hard to turn it off sometimes.
I think that the Donatellos and Michelangelos of the world might have difficulty with one another, because I think both are thinking a lot. Right? There's a lot going through their mind. The Donatellos just can somewhat bring that in and get it in one vein, whereas the Michelangelos were kind of bouncing all over the place. And we may have a more creative thought, left brain versus right brain, but it's getting to that may take us a little longer. Whereas,
Yeah.
Donatello is going to process. But when those, just like all of these, get online together, much representative of the church,
Yep.
Some big things can happen. And certainly God's in charge of all of it. He's the motor, the engine, the gasoline, the whole structure. And we're just kind of along for the ride to some degree.
Yeah, and I mean it's a beautiful picture of everything, needing to work together. But like you said, I mean, you think about the apostles, you probably got, and I said analytical earlier, Philip, think about Matthew. He's a tax collector.
Yeah.
He's probably, especially the way the chosen, does, he's very analytical, very much thought out everything he does. And then you've got the more impassioned ones that just, he gets on their ever-loving nerve,
Yeah.
and that's probably true. And you've got people in the church that are like that, where, you got your overthinkers and the people who are passionate and the dreamers, whether it's, Michelangelo's or, they may be the ones that are like, man, we can do all these different things. And Raphael, kind of mindset is just pushing ahead with it. And Donatello's are going, whoa, 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 whoa. We need to think through how all this is going to work. And, and those two things can get a little pushback from each other. There's room for everybody, but we have to find these personalities. So, last one, called to lead, called to rest, Leonardo's. You resonate with Leonardo because God has wired you with a heart for direction, for responsibility, and order. You want to do what's right, carry the mission well, and help others stay on course. Yet even the strongest leaders grow weary. That's a very biblical concept. Devotional insight. Jesus often withdrew to quiet places to pray, not because he was weak, but because even perfect leadership needs divine replenishing. You don't have to hold everything together. God already does that. So maybe you need to hear that today. Let part of your discipleship be learning to rest in Christ, not led for Christ or not leading for Christ, but learning to rest in him. So sometimes we've got to have that part. So what are your thoughts on that one?
Ben, you can speak to how many people you see with this idea of resting. And I think just generally in our day and age, I think about during COVID, we kind of started this podcast or really started it in earnest. We had time, to kind of deal and interview people and just, be with folks and kind of resonate with them. And it seems like, at the time we were like, man, maybe this is the way it will always be. And then as soon as things got back to flowing, I think we just piled more on than even before. And so, man, what a message to all of us today. It's all right to rest. What's that?
Yeah, we're talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Do you like the Turtles?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the school's getting out right now. So I wanted to, we're thinking about the different ones. Who's your favorite? Who do you like most?
Maybe the blue one.
The blue one, Leonardo.
Nice.
Yeah, like Leonardo. Like
Yeah.
that was your dad's favorite. And so, one thing I think about the lyrics of a song, Casting Crowns had a song called City on the Hill. I don't know if you remember this one or not. But it talks about, did you hear the city on the hill, said one old man to another, and once shined bright and it would be shining still, but they all started turning on each other. And the reason is because he says the poets thought the dancers were shallow, the soldiers thought the poets were weak, the elders saw the young ones as foolish, and the rich man never heard the poor man speak. And so there's this battle that's going on, because they're all very different from each other. But later on, hey, we have a Mahan. It's not Will, but we have a Mahan here.
Hey, Mahan. Hey, sweetie.
Is going to come hang out today. And so at the end of that song, he says, but it was the rhythm of the dancers that gave poets life, the spirit of the poets that gave the soldiers strength to fight. It was the fire of the young ones and the wisdom of the old. It was the story of the poor man that needed to be told. And so it's very interesting how each one of those guys needed each other, but they all kept saying, hey, we're so different from each other. We can't do this. So when we think about all these different guys, they worked together, they fought together, they had this great show. I know it's just pretend, but it resonated with us because it all worked. And the same thing is true in church.
Maybe if we think and we know people that fall in these categories, it might lead us, and I think that's your point, Ben, to have a little more patience with them and understand that we're all in this together, to quote another teenage show that I didn't really enjoy. But
quote that one.
Yeah. Is your church looking for meaningful ways to make a kingdom impact? Healing Hands International has been partnering with churches for more than 30 years to make real change possible. HHI is a faith-driven nonprofit that leads life-changing programs like Walk for Water, where communities come together to raise awareness and funds to drill wells around the world. But that is just the beginning. HHI works to aid, equip, and empower communities around the world, teaching families how to grow sustainable gardens or helping women launch small businesses to support their families. And the best part? All of these programs are done in partnership with local church leaders, empowering gospel opportunities. There are so many ways you and your church can get involved. You can host your own Walk for Water. You can pack gift boxes for kids through the Magi program or host a seed packing event. Learn more and get involved today at hhi.org. That's hhi.org.
Who in the Bible fits in those categories?
Oh man, that's tough. And that's the thing. Like some people in the Bible, we kind of see their growth.
Yeah.
And so you kind of see a little Raphael and Moses there out the gate.
That's true.
Putting down an Egyptian, and God kind of works him through that, and by the end, he's kind of in maybe the Donatello, Leonardo category, which is a nice story. I mean, it teaches us a lot. Like, hey, man, you're young, you got all this energy, and then you get maybe hopefully live long enough to get some wisdom to kind of slow your roll. So I would probably put a young Moses in the Raphael category, and of course you got all kinds of judges, and I guess anybody that like lives long enough in the Bible or you get enough information kind of makes that kind of
Transition.
process.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly, my first thought was Peter with Raphael. And then you also think, even though I don't think of John, I think of John more in the Leonardo category, but him and his brother were known as Sons of Thunder. So there was at least some of that there early on and developed, but I see him more in that leadership quality. And I think just, at least a lot of people think Philip was probably the Donatello of the disciples, because he's the one Jesus said, "Hey, how many people can we feed?" And he said, "Well, we can't." Like, here's the analytics of it, Lord. There's no chance that we're feeding all these people. Not sure that it took a Donatello to figure that out when it came to how many people were there, but he seemed to be maybe the more analytical one. But those are the ones, I guess, that first come to my mind. But
I think Paul, you get a little mix of Leonardo and Donatello, where definitely a leadership quality there, but there's also some in-depth
overthinking.
Some of that going on that causes me to, makes my hamster wheel inside my brain kind of go into overdrive. But that's a great question.
I can talk about Ninja Turtles all day.
Yeah, man. That goes all the way back to when we were some of the ages of some of those kids that just came in and popped in.
That's exactly right.
I appreciate your time, Ben. I thank you for putting up with my goofy ideas about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Once again, if you're watching this on a place where you can leave a comment, let us know who you associate with the most or what turtle was your favorite. But hey, you never know what we're going to talk about on the Helping Healing Humor with Ben and Travis podcast.
There you go. Have a good one.
Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.